My sister wants to steal my baby. Let me back up. This is a crazy story. You're not going to believe how this went down. Let's start from the beginning. The most important person in my life is my son Haden. I would even go as far as to say that I love him more than my husband, but I'm sure it's the same for him. To us, Haden is a blessing that we're lucky to have. If it was not for modern medicine, then we would have still been childless. While the options of adoption were possible, I yearned to have my own baby. It's difficult to explain, but only some people would understand what it's like not to be able to have children. I'm a 44-year-old female, and my husband, Tate, is 46. We got married as soon as we got out of college. We had a good relationship based first on friendship, then everything else followed. Over the years, we had to face a lot of challenges, but still decided to remain married and work it out. Our biggest challenge was having children. We tried for so many years, but I only got pregnant once when I was 28. Unfortunately, due to health complications, I lost the baby, which was a huge knock in my confidence. After expecting that happiness that came being pregnant, it was like walking through hell. I started to question myself, wondering if maybe my husband was better off with someone who could have gave him a child. He was very supportive of me and never expressed disappointment. But I saw him at events, watching fathers play with their kids, and that pained me to no end. Tate was perfectly healthy. It was just me who could not carry to full term. The option of surrogacy did not appeal much to me because I would need someone else's egg. I wanted my child to be related to both of us. After that miscarriage, the doctors warned me to stop trying to get pregnant because it would likely lead to a miscarriage, and if I carried full term, I would be endangering both myself and my baby. I told him that I would do all that I could to make sure that we got a kid, even if it meant I would not be alive to raise the child. That was when Tate drew the line, said he would not lose me all because of my stubbornness. We had one of the biggest fights we've ever had in our marriage, because I felt that it was my body and it was my choice to put myself in danger, if only just to hold my child in my hands. Unable to come to an agreement, I packed my stuff and went to my parents' house. Everyone knew about our struggles, and they sympathized, but I could not bear to tell them that my child was no more. But my little sister Felicia, who was 18 at the time and home from college, saw through me and could tell that I was not okay. So she pulled the truth out of me, and she was very sympathetic to me. That was when she came up with something I was not expecting. She said that she knew how I really wanted to give Tate his own child and did not want to adopt before that happened. One of the reasons I could not just adopt was the judgment from my and Tate's families. There are people there I know who make fun of me and would just use the adoption of a way to make it talk about failure as a woman. So when she suggested that she was going to be a surrogate and carry mine and Tate's child, I wasn't very on board with the idea. So I decided to just set up a meeting with us three and talk through the minor details. She would do it and provide her own egg so that the baby was related to me, but she also needed monetary compensation, which was not a problem. Tate and I have very good paying jobs, and we had savings that we could use to pay her. I knew she was probably doing it for money, but I did not blame her because we were going to put her through one of the most beautiful but difficult journeys in life. But there was a condition which we all agreed on, and it was that we are going to keep it a secret from everyone, and she was the one who was carrying the baby. The way we're going to do it was that as soon as she started to show, she would leave town and I would remain, acting like I was pregnant. Then I would leave closer to the due date and come back with the baby. So, through artificial insemination, We were able to do everything, and she was soon pregnant. Everything went according to plan as soon as she left town when she started the show. On the other side, I was also keeping up with my charade. Both Tate and I were very excited about this opportunity, which we never thought we would ever be given, but here we are. But through all that, I was scared that maybe it would not work out. If it did not, then we decided to stop trying to have kids and maybe consider adopting. But everything went without a hitch, and within a couple months, Haden was born. He was the most beautiful little person I've ever met. The look in my husband's eyes when he first touched him is one that I will never forget. We all promised to never tell anyone about what happened. Even Haden, because, well, we just wanted him to have a normal life. We had a smooth transaction into parenting with my sister's help, and we compensated her generously for what she's done for us and her silence. What she had done could not even put into words because Haden saved our marriage and our mental health. No one suspected a thing because we put the necessary precautions in place. Our family was very happy for us, and finally, I could shut down the people who spoke about my inability to have children. For the next couple of years, we lived in this perfect little bubble with our son, who's now 15. Of course, there were difficulties along the way. More so now that he's a moody teenager, but our family is one of the happiest. He and his sister fight like cats and dogs most of the time, but they love each other. Yes, when Haden was 5, he asked for a sibling and we adopted her, not caring too much about what people would say. I was not going to go through the surrogacy route again because it's so darn draining. So we just decided to adopt a little girl. Everything was going well until it all fell apart. My sister got married a few years ago when she was 30, but she does not have children. She expressed over the years that she'll most likely have kids, much to disappoint our parents. They only have 2 grandchildren and have been nagging both of us and her for more grandchildren. Tate and I are pretty much done having more kids. We already have 2 beautiful miracles and want to dedicate our time to them instead. As for my sister, a few months ago, she told me that she and her husband were trying for a baby. It was so wonderful news because I knew that a baby would make them very happy. But the problem started when they struggled to conceive. She came to me and expressed concern that she could not conceive because she's been a surrogate, which was ridiculous, because she's been given a clean bill of health when she gave birth. But then, she said that she feels guilty for not telling her husband that Haden is biologically hers. Maybe she was being punished by God. The deal we made was that no one would know at any cost. But I knew that asking her to keep a secret from her husband was a bit much. So we decided that the 3 of us would tell him. I still did not think surrogacy was the reason that they could not conceive, because, well, I did not want it to be. I did not want to be the person who took away her sister's ability to conceive. Well, everything went out the window when Felicia not only told her husband about the surrogacy, but also told the whole family that she could not give birth because she gave birth to my child for me. When I tried to reach out to her, she told me that she wanted Haden back, since she was the one who gave birth to him. At this point, Haden did not even know about the surrogacy, but because of Ford family members, he found out, and he was very angry at the 2 of us. He went to stay at a friend's house and warned us not to come looking for him. He was so angry that he said stuff that I wish he could take back because I love my son a lot, even if I was not the one who carried him. It was like a storm, with my sister telling me that she wanted her baby back, and my parents on my case for endangering my sister and then lying about it for years. I wanted to explain to them that I was desperate and did compensate my sister with money, but no one wanted to hear me out. The family did not believe in stuff like that, which was why they were acting so over the top. Now, my sister was threatening both me and my husband with a lawsuit if we do not give her full custody of Haden. Even though I did not give birth to him, he's my son. I was the one staying up at night when he was a little baby, and he's called me mom since he started speaking. A feeling I've forgotten about all those years came seeping back. Loss. I was not ready to feel loss once again. I feared I would not survive it. My husband was completely distraught as well, even though he was trying to act strong for the both of us. My parents had completely stopped talking to me after they found out what happened, because they believed my sister when she said I took advantage of her, even if she was the one who offered to carry the baby for us. Either way, I was feeling an intense amount of guilt, so I thought the least I could do was pay for both my sister and her husband to go for a checkup at a fertility clinic. Then I would do anything so that they would have a child. But I was never giving up my son. My offer was met with reluctance, but eventually, Felicia and Daryl went for testing. But no one was prepared for the results, which not only put me and my husband in the clear, but presented another problem in Felicia's life. It turns out that my sister is healthy and can fall pregnant, but her husband is the one who's infertile. After all the energy put into making me seem like a bad person, what more could she say? Just because she finished the money that we gave her, I'm sure that she was trying to score another payday from us. My husband and I have been nothing but generous to her for over the years, even allowing her access to the baby until she was ready to let go. She made several bad investments, bought materialistic things with the money. If she had sense, she would have been able to save it for a rainy day. I told her that she was welcome to come after me and my husband, but my name was the one on the birth certificate. She signed her rights to Haden way long ago. Because of her, I've been forced to pull up all the proof that I paid for her services and show the family to prove that I did not take advantage of her. And her little leverage that she had on me was now gone, since now it was revealed that her husband was infertile. The two of them had been harassing my husband and me for such a long time, making crazy demands. The husband was even worse. I felt that he was the one making her such crazy demands from us. But with the proof that we had nothing to do with their inability to have children, my conscience was a little cleaner, and my parents were more willing to forgive me. They told my sister to let me raise my child in peace because she had given Haden up to me when he was born. Therefore, she had no right to him anymore. My son, who was the person most affected by this, ended up agreeing to come back home. We explained to him in the simplest way possible that we loved him, and I was his mom despite what his DNA said. We told him about how difficult it's been for us to have kids over the years, and that my sister helped us. Haden apologized for the things that he said to us when he was angry, and we decided to move past it. Already, his sister knew that she was adopted by the time she was 10. Otherwise, that would have been another can of worms that would have been better to deal with. I sympathize with my sister in her situation, but I also have my family to look after. It's up to Haden if he wants to acknowledge her as his mother, but so far, he considers me as his mom. I've lived through the pain of not having kids. I cannot imagine what she's feeling. But blaming me will not solve a thing. No one's even taking her side now because people think that she's an attention seeker. I've warned her to never try to get custody of my son ever again. Otherwise, I will take her for all that she's worth. And I have all the proof needed. I did not get a restraining order against her because I wanted Haden to choose whether to see her or not. But right now, he absolutely hates her for trying to make him away from his family. I've also told her that I will not pay for her husband's fertility treatment because we simply don't have the money. She should have also worked hard for her money and saved. That's what we did. All the money that we have as a couple is going to a college fund for our children. We've done all we can to help her, but her little stunt proves that all she cares about is money. My parents are way more upset with her than with me, and have threatened to disown her if she tries to get more money out of myself and my husband. And of course, she's been whining that our parents are choosing favorites. She's the one who decided to go back on our deal and try to steal our happiness. It was not like I was going to just keep my son's paternity away from him from the rest of our life, but I just did not feel like I had to tell him while he was in the middle of his teenage years. She might have birthed him, but I can attest that I love him more than her, and I know him better. So the gist of it is that my sister and I never talk. She's not been thrown out of the family or anything. It's just that when we're at family events, we tend to avoid each other. There's not much to say between us because the trust is broken. She tried to swindle me out of my money for something that was not even my fault, and tried to take my son away from me. No sister of mine would ever do that. She is so lucky that I did not demand that she pay me back for my money, since she violated the confidentiality clause. Even though it's been months, I can see how people look at us in public, and the way that they whisper about us. I know the judgment that I get from family members because I lied about carrying my son, and it's so painful. So you can bet I want nothing to do with her or Daryl at the moment. Well, I wish that the story did not go down like this. The relationship between OP and her sister is probably tarnished forever. But the thought of somebody trying to come back and steal your baby 15 years later is so absurd. Guys, let me know in the thoughts down below what you would have done differently if you were in OP's position. I also think OP's family was super toxic during all this, and it made everything way worse. We have one more story on today's video. The title comes with an update, by the way. My daughter won't get an abortion. There's a little bit of stipulation to this. The daughter, she's 14 years old. I'm a 42-year-old male and a single father to my daughter, who's 14. My wife passed away with excessive bleeding after childbirth, so it's just me and her. She's a fantastic young lady, always an honor roll, really good at basketball and a social butterfly. She doesn't see too much of me because, well, I work 9 to 7. But I'm home for dinner, and she started getting really good at cooking something for the both of us. Around Tuesday, I noticed there was something off about her. She was a whole lot quieter than she usually is. There was no chatter during dinner. Right after dinner, she went up to her room, even though typically we sit down and watch TV together. I figured it was just moody teenage hormones, except it doesn't stop. Friday, I finally take her hands and ask her, "What's wrong?" She looked at me and just burst into tears. She cried more, so I held her until she was ready. And that's when she whispered, "I'm pregnant." I was shocked, utterly and completely shocked. I kept on hugging her, but my mind's gone blank. I took her upstairs, tucked her into bed. I don't think asking her about what she planned to do when she was so vulnerable was a good idea. I'd wait until she calmed down a little. Saturday, she came down for breakfast. I sat her down and asked her plans. She said under no circumstances will she abort the baby. It's her baby and she plans to keep it full term. I then asked, what about adoption? And she said she did not want to, that she could take care of it herself. I calmly explained that we're no way financially able to care for a baby, and who would take care of it during the day. I go to work, she goes to school, and my parents, although we're a big help in taking care of my daughter when she was younger, are way too old to watch a newborn. She suggested she starts online school, which I refused, saying I don't want her to ruin her life. The thing is, I don't even want to consider adoption. I can't imagine her going through pregnancy, then labor, especially with what happened to her mother. I don't know if high-risk pregnancies are my genetic, but if she has one, what if I lose her? I told her this, and she asked me if I had no love for my grandchildren. But I don't. I don't care at all about a clump of cells in her uterus. I care about her. The girl I raised. I told her today that she had to abort her child. She cried, screamed, begged, told me to reconsider, telling me that she'd run away. There's no way I'm letting her give birth. She could tear her body apart. And for school, I don't want her to face the stigma and hurt of teen pregnancy. At this point, I see only one way out of this, and that's telling her if she does not abort it, I'm kicking her out. It hurts me so much to do this, but if she doesn't do one, I'm afraid her life will truly be over. I won't actually, but I'm hoping it'll push her in the right direction. I'm pretty much manipulating her, but how do I get out of this? Where do I go from here? Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here. This is such an intense story. There's an update for it. I hope you're enjoying all the content today. Please do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel so much. Here's the updates. So, today she did not go to school. We went to the local clinic to get her checked out. It's been confirmed. She's definitely pregnant. 13 weeks along. Everything's fine so far, but she's automatically high risk because she's a teenager. They said she could develop anemia, low blood iron, low blood pressure problems, and on top of that, the baby could also be born with disabilities. After the doctors, I took her out for ice cream and then asked her who the father was. I told her I had to know, she had to tell me. She refused, saying she'd raised the baby on her own without his help. We went home and she went to the bathroom and accidentally left her phone open, so I took it and looked through her messages. According to the ones between her and her friends and the guy, he's 15 years old and a friend of a friend. She hadn't told him yet. I wrote down his number, then messaged him on my phone, telling him I was daughter's dad and needed him to give his mother's number because of a big problem. I expect something of a fight, but the kid messaged it back to me. So I called his mom and told him my daughter was pregnant and her son was the father. She asked if I was sure, and I said based off text messages, it did not seem like she'd had sex with anyone else. But she'd be free to get a paternity test. I said it'd be best if we got together at a coffee shop or something to talk, but she said there'd be no need for that. She said her son would be waiving his parental rights, and they were not interested in a co-parenting situation. I asked about child support, and she said her husband would pay it, but her son would no way be involved. She asked for me to not tell her about any details of the pregnancy, and they don't want to be at any appointments. She hung up before I could say anything else. Now, I don't know where I stand. I can't afford a lawyer, and I don't think I can make him get involved either way. I don't entirely trust them to be accommodating in terms of child support, considering how short his mother was. Is there a way we could get out of paying it? I don't know enough about their family, but if they have money and we don't, what's happening there? My daughter's no closer in getting an abortion, or considering adoption, but I'm going to stop peppering her with it now. My sister and her are talking right now at the suggestion of another person, and I hope a female influence will work better on her than I am. She's sending a little bit of money, and I think I may be able to set up some therapy appointments for her to talk out her options in a professional way. Something my sister and I simply can't do. I can't even seem to fathom the thoughts that would be going through OP's head when he gets that crazy news that his 14-year-old baby girl is pregnant. It must be hard for them both, so let me know in the comments down below if you have any sort of advice that you want to give OP. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and it's cool to be kind. I'll see you in the next one. The latest Mr. Reddito producer, Christine Billings. Thank you so much for the support.